Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So as you can see, I'm still sick. I barely have a voice, but I did go ahead and record the men's panel video today for you all. They did give like a lot of great advice, a lot of great tips. We went through some of the same questions that I asked the ladies, but some different questions as well. So of course, the Lsat, law school applications, how they decided which schools they were going to apply to. We also talked about dating, of course. So if you're interested, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be back at the end for an outro. If you guys want to go ahead and just start with introductions. So Larry, can you go ahead and introduce yourself first?
Hey, how you doing? My name is Larry. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. I currently live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I went to Cornell University for undergrad, and I came back to Charlotte, and I have been teaching ninth grade math for the past 4 years at my alma mater via Teach for America. I'm excited to say that I'll be going to Georgetown in the fall.
Okay. Ibrahim?
Hey, good night, everyone. My name is Ibrahim Hinds. Ibra for short. I'm from Bridgetown, Barbados. I went to undergrad at Jasmine State University in Mississippi. Then I did my master's at the University of South Florida. After that, I've been working as a civil engineer for 2 years. Currently, I'm torn between Penn and Berkeley, being close to the DMV area versus the weather. Thanks for having me here.
Brenton?
Yeah, hello, my name is Brenton. I'm from Tyler, Texas, which is about 2 hours east of Dallas. And I graduated from University of North Texas in 2018. And since then, I've been working as a paralegal in Dallas. And right now, I am down to Columbia and University of Virginia as my two options for law school. Hopefully I'll decide within the next day or two and finally have a decision made.
Okay. So Max, you want to introduce yourself now?
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Max Lawton. I'm from Chesapeake, Virginia. I went to Hampton University, where I got my bachelor's and master's degree in mathematics. Right now, I am the education liaison at Friendship Public Charter Schools in DC. And most importantly, I'll be attending GW Law School in the fall with the Presidential Scholarship.
Okay. Richard?
What's up, everybody? My name is Richard. I'm originally from Miami, Florida. I went to Florida State for undergrad. I played football there. Then right now, I'm waiting on a couple schools in regards to like wait lists and things of that nature. So I'm not going to listen because it's like more than 5. Besides that, right now I'm working for Every Time for Gun Safety as a legislative manager for oversee policy, and that's it.
Okay. Jarvis?
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Jarvis. I did undergrad at Mississippi College. It's in St. Clinton, so it's not too far from where Ibra was at Jackson State. Right now, my two options I'm down to is MC Law and Wash U, and currently right now work as a paralegal.
Okay. So thank you guys. So I guess my first question is like, when did you all know you wanted to be attorneys?
I'll go first. So for me, it's always kind of been in the back of my mind. I think it kind of suits my personality a little bit. But really, I wrote about this in my personal statement. I grew up in a home with domestic violence, and basically I wanted to have a career where I could advocate for people in some way. I really enjoy advocacy, so it makes sense to go this route. And from everything I've done so far, being a paralegal, I feel like it's the right decision.
Okay.
I'll say for me, growing up where I grew up, I'm from like an inner city area. And my family kind of always saw law as like the opposition growing up. So it was kind of like always in the back of my mind, then, coming up through school, being in a public school, you see how other schools are, seem like they're better off than the school that you're at. So it's like, why is that? It's like, okay, the government, okay, what's that? Okay, how do they influence it? Okay, policy, right? And then going to college, I studied labor relations. And so we studied a lot of labor law and labor policy. And it was those are the first classes that kind of took me up through the history of the law of the country from like the 1400, like from the 1400s, you know, from the colonies all the way up to now, and kind of taught me the law through labor. And I kind of saw that all those things, all those precedents kind of still have lasting effects to this day. So I'll say that those classes were what really made me want to be an attorney, and also, you know, teaching and wanting to kind of bridge that gap. You know, it's all about equity.
Me, I guess I didn't want to be a lawyer growing up. I basically found it out after I was going through my process of medically retiring from the Army. And I had an attorney that was mad dope. And basically she just really, I guess, attracted me into, you know, just becoming a lawyer, I guess. Like when she was handling my medical paperwork and just talking to me about different things. And but I had one of my biggest fear was just like, I guess, reading too much and talking too much because I have TBI, traumatic brain injury, and that was one of my biggest fears. So I was like, you know, do I really want to go to law school? But, you know, just talking to her and talking to the different mentors of mine, they persuaded me to go. So
for me, I'm gonna start with my previous career. I became a civil engineer because I wanted to like better society, and I guess me transitioning into law is like an enhancement of my perspective. Like Larry was alluding to, there's definitely a problem with resource allocation and us having the opportunities. And similar to Max, that's not like a dream I had growing up. It's not something that I feel like suits my personality type, but just with technology and seeing how technology has an opportunity to either widen a divide that's already there or shorten it. I feel in terms of like the ethics, in terms of how that is incorporated, that was a strong pull for me to want to do law.
It's more or less for me. I've kind of known since I was 12 years old that I wanted to be an attorney. And I think the more I think about it, I think the reason is because I just enjoy, during undergrad, I just enjoyed the aspect of dissecting cases and just taking things piece by piece. And my mind's kind of always worked that way. And so I feel like that the legal field probably give me the best avenue to kind of dissect things and just kind of break things down and kind of look for solutions of problems. So I just always kind of known that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
In regards to myself and my interest in going to law school, when I was younger, I remember being in the courtroom my first time. I was 13, and it was my homeboy Leroy who got charged, him and his little brother, and he had a scholarship offer. So we played football together. He already had a scholarship offer to like USC and Alabama, and we was in middle school still. So just seeing someone's life like that get taken away over something as small and a petty crime, over having some weed on him, I was like, something had to change. And because everything got pulled from him, and after that, life just spiraled down for him. But being a vessel for change, for social justice, and wanting to dismantle the system is what interested me first in law school. And then after I ran for public office when I was an undergrad, I wanted to use the legal avenue to dissect policy legislatively in my future whenever I do run for office again. So that I dabbled and dabbled on that.
Okay. So did you guys have like other people in this process with you that were applying to law school? Like, how did you know, like, oh, I need to study for the Lsat. This is how I study, or this is how I look for schools. Like, how did you guys research the process?
So I'm an Omega, and one of my pro fights kind of sat me down one day. He was trying to help me make the decision between going to business school and going to law school. And after we made the decision, he was like, you probably want to put, close to a year into studying for the Lsat if you really want to get the best outcome. And so that's what I did. And he kind of helped me, find books to buy. And he kind of glued me in with his network of people, friends who were already attorneys. And I kind of went that way. And I got some books because they were able to donate me some books. I didn't pay for a course. I actually used Khan Academy. And Khan Academy was a great resource. I use Khan Academy and I use YouTube. You can YouTube anything. So that's what I did. And I did not have a single friend near me that was studying for the LSAT. I went on Reddit a couple of times and like looked for like study groups, but it never really panned out because it was like I was studying over the summer a lot and people always had stuff to do. So, yeah, it was just Reddit, YouTube, and Khan Academy.
Like Larry was saying, also my profile, I'm an alpha. My profile, he definitely spoke to me different times, and my line brothers as well who went to law school. But I didn't have a study partner, but I had somebody who was studying for the bar, and I was studying for the LSAT, and we was on each other all the time about, hey, make sure you're studying, put the work in. And I did a lot of self-study as well. And I also did YouTube, and I took a power score class for the time. I think for my second time taking the LSAT, I took it twice. So yeah.
For me, I was in undergraduate moot court. So I mean, basically everybody in that organization wanted to go to law school, although some didn't. So when you're in it, I was in it for my sophomore year. I saw people ahead of me, taking or going through the process, taking the LSAT, finding out what law schools they went to, and really seeing them succeed, going to really good schools. Like somebody I knew went to Penn, somebody else went to Northwestern. That really inspired me to believe in myself, first of all, that I could, achieve that too. So I really think seeing people that achieve something definitely makes a difference in how you believe in yourself for that process as well.
For me, I didn't have anyone along this journey with me until later on in my journey. I sort of got involved just as I was on vacation in San Francisco, and I just visited Stanford, and I just happened to go to a meeting where they were discussing artificial intelligence. Just from there, I started to just get more curious, and I did a tour of the law school department. And for me, the LSAT journey, there's so much I learned from peers that I wish I knew in the beginning. It was a total struggle. With my background as a STEM major, the LSAT, the reading comprehension, getting to dissect it, it was it was such a big transition for me, especially after being out of school for so long.
My journey has been closer to a solo journey, and I actually kind of prefer it that way because I've always kind of been more of a self-teacher, as I kind of discovered in my senior year of high school. So currently right now I was using Mike Kim's LSAT trainer. I found it on Amazon for about $19-20. I read about it on Reddit, and a lot of people who score really high on the LSAT recommended it. So just Mike Kim's trainer, shadowing my attorney. I interned for about a year at a law firm, and just walking around following him and just kind of getting tidbits, pieces of advice from him. One thing he always reiterated to me, he kind of still does to this day, is practice test, practice test, practice test, practice test. And some of that stuff's going to be things that you just kind of instinctively get. So just kind of taking that in mind, I just kind of tried to go the solo route. I do use a couple of Khan Academy courses to kind of help me throughout this whole process. But I would say Mike Kim's LSAT trainer and Khan Academy has been my two biggest things.
For myself, the LSAT waiver was a blessing. I ain't gonna lie. Allowed a lot of flexibility because I was not gonna be able to afford all them books I got. So once I got approved and I cleared through for that waiver, I ain't gonna lie, by every single account that I could that was free. They sent me all them books, so I used everything I could. But PowerScore helped me a lot. At the time I was in DC, so Griffin Prep, so they waive, and the class is like $1,400-$1,500, and you have the LSAT waiver and you stay in DC, it's free, and that's like 2-3 months of prep. So that was the best class I ever took. They're really in depth. It's like 12 people per class. So anybody who's in the DMV area and anyone who's watching this is in the DMV and you get that waiver, please sign up for that class, because they make you take a practice test, and they have iPads and all of that. So it was at the time where September. I took the September LSAT, and I took the class from July through my September LSAT, and my score jumped like 7 points after taking the course the first time, and then it jumped another 3 when they gave me like a mini version when I retook it. So that's a total of 10 points right there, and and without them, I probably wouldn't be getting the schools I was. So I definitely can vouch for that if you're in the DMV area. But if you're not, and you can get the waiver, I would say, getting all these free books that you can, like, definitely take advantage of that.
Yeah, definitely. So who else took the LSAT more than once?
I took it 3 times.
Actually, this upcoming LSAT, this May Flex LSAT, will be my second attempt at it as well. So we'll see how we do this time.
Are you taking it again to get off a wait list, or are you taking it again to apply to a school that just has like a later deadline?
Honestly, I'm doing it for more money, more scholarship money. I've heard from WashU, hey, if you bump it up to X, Y, and Z, then you get this amount of money. So it's for the money. I'm just gonna be completely honest. So I don't want to pay for anything in law school. I don't want to come out of pockets for anything. So.
Thanks.
You took it 3 times. Like, what did you do different each time, like, to get hired?
So the first time I took it was my junior year of college in 2017, and I really shouldn't have taken it then because that's the summer before I was in South Africa, and I was like, I'll study while I'm in South Africa doing this internship. But then I lived in a house with 9 people who just played beer pong every night. So it was like basically impossible to study in South Africa. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'll take it anyway because I already paid for it. Like, I'm not even going to refund. I'll sit down and see what it's like. But at that point, I had already made up my mind that I wasn't going to use that score to apply to law school. So I took it, and I mean, I did okay that time, but it wasn't what I thought I could do. So I was like, okay, I'll take a gap year. And then 1 gap year turned into 2. So I took it again in September of 2019, and I did better. I scored 2 points higher than my first score, which is better, but it wasn't where I thought I could score. So I took it one last time in November of last year, and I got 3 points higher than the second score. And it was around what I was practice testing it. So I stuck with it, and I think if you know you can do better on the LSAT, you definitely should retake until you get what you know you can achieve.
When you guys were like deciding which school you were going to apply to, were you looking mostly at location, money? Were you thinking about, I'm only going to have this amount of debt? Like, how did you guys choose which school you were going to apply to?
Well, for me, in deciding what school I was going to apply to, I went to, ilrg.com something. I looked at the median salaries for all of the schools, and I applied to all of the schools that said $190,000 coming out. That's literally what I did. And I looked at the LSAT scores and said, okay, I gotta knock this out the park. And so I studied for 9 straight months because I know I was gonna only be a one and done on the LSAT. I wasn't paying for 2 of those, and that's how I decided. And that's how I decided what I was gonna apply to.
For me, it came down to, honestly, it wasn't the money wise because I knew that the military paid, but at the same time, if I knew that if I have gotten a higher score on the LSAT, then I can get a scholarship. So I just wanted to stay in the area near my family. Honestly, that's what it came down to because I have a son. So I was like, I want to stay close to my son. I didn't want to go to the West Coast or down south or up north because I went to school in New York at one point as well. So I was just in the radius of staying like 4 hours from my house.
For me, I made like an Excel spreadsheet, and I got the top 20 schools that were highly ranked in the specialty I was interested, which is intellectual property. I also took into factor as my other primary considerations the cost of attendance and how much scholarship I'm likely to get. Also, job outcome was like a big factor for me. And in the event I did have to get loans, I was looking to see like schools that offered at least $150K per year. Secondary factors were weather and culture. So I guess overall, like, I looked at my immediate happiness and my long-term happiness that those matches were like related to.
So I only applied to law schools that offered me fee waivers, which was, it was quite a bit. I was surprised. It was about 30 plus law schools. Yeah. So, I mean, and a lot of the law schools are already ones I was considering. So I was like, okay, this is a win-win. So I applied to 20 schools, and only paid for one fee waiver, or for one application. Out of those 20, every single one else was fee waiver applied to it. But of course, I consider whether or not that school is highly ranked, as we all do. Consider, the location, the portability of a degree from that law school, the location of it. Could I see myself practicing in that location? And I also considered, of course, outcomes.
For myself, it goes back to that Lsat waiver because, again, they waive not only the way the app fees, but they also waive that $45. What is it called?
They waived the 45.
Yeah, they waived like 4 to 6 of those, and they waived like 6 to 8 of the app fees. So I just started applying it.
I didn't even apply for that waiver.
Hey, listen, the IRS, I'm not playing with them. I just send out apps to everybody.
So I heard it's basically impossible to get the waiver, so I didn't even.
I took out a loan.
Oh yeah, I probably wouldn't have gone to law school without that waiver. That changed my life. I applied to I want to say last fall I applied to 15 schools, and in the spring I was like, you know what? I didn't pay for them, so let me actually pay for some actual schools I might be really interested in. And I applied to another 10. So I applied to a lot of schools, and I didn't have to really pay for half of them.
Fun fact: I applied to law schools with money from a lawsuit settlement.
Oh, that's bad.
That's a big flex.
I had gotten a promotion. I was like, I'm gonna use that money to actually pay for CAS fees, because with the waiver, you just never pay app fees at all. Because most schools just waive them if you have the waiver. So I was only paying CAS fees for the schools I actually had to pay for things. And I found out if you email a school, it's just like with the app fees. Some have CAS waivers if you're LSAT and GPA, so the hard topic stuff is in their median. So they'll be like, okay, we'll probably accept this person off rip, so we'll cover that for them. So I did that with pretty much everywhere I applied to. So that went into my decision outside of the normal things like location and affordability.
Yeah, I got through Teach for America, I got a lot of application waivers. I did not get the $45 waived, so that hurt every single time. It added up with the 17 schools I applied to. I did get a CAS waiver, but where I messed up at, though, was I waited late to try to get my transcript. And when I wanted to get my transcript, I realized that, I had parking tickets from college, and you got to pay them before we give you a transcript. And I was so I spent about $600 on parking tickets to get my free transcript. So don't do that.
So does anybody already know what type of law they want to? Did that play a part in your decision, or?
I know it definitely did for me. I either want to do corporate and securities or tax law. And WashU is ranked in, if I'm not mistaken, the top 5 in the nation when it comes to corporate and securities law. So that, as well as, I guess, geographic location. I did like everyone else did. I wanted to see the median salary coming out of the school, bar passage rate. So I factor all those things in consideration. But when it came down, I guess, to the nitty gritty of it all, I just wanted to go to a great school that would help me with corporate and securities or tax law. So.
For me, I mentioned it before, intellectual property. For me, I think I'm between either the New York area or being close to the Silicon Valley area.
For me, I want to go into big law. Namely, if I could, I would like to go into labor and employment law, because that's what I studied in undergrad, and it's pretty interesting to me. I also would like to go into, I would like to find my way into sports and entertainment law, and I didn't really consider that too much in picking a school, because that's more so of a networking kind of field for a lot of people. It's if you look at a lot of the big agents or the people that are big in sports and entertainment law, a lot of them just kind of knew somebody, or had a really good client, you know, that kind of put them over the edge. Like, look at Rich Paul, like LeBron, you know, put him over the top, you know, and now he's balling, you know, but, you know, LeBron was his gateway. So that's kind of that's my outlook on sports law. And that's like a dream job for me. But aside from that, I want to go into corporate law. Yeah.
I've been thinking about appellate law for a while. So what I wrote about in some of my why essays was whether or not they had a Supreme Court clinic or appellate litigation clinic where I could get that sort of experience. Of course, I know that, you know, whatever you may think you want to do when you go into law school may change. But that was something that was always at the forefront of my decisions.
I guess for me, I want to focus on health law or veterans law, being that that's my background. And I knew that GW had a top 5 health law program, and they have one of the best hospitals too in the DC area. So that was, I guess, really attracted me to GW, the health law program.
For myself, I was looking at civil rights, but also kind of like somewhere where there'd be an intersection with the government as well. I had interest in because of my political background. I eventually would want to go back into legislation and move in that and helping push that, whether on the lobbying level or even a firm that does both things. So that's where my main focus was at.
So do you guys have like any concerns though about starting law school? Like what's like your biggest fear?
The Rona.
Anything?
They're like, you know, having our first semester be online possibly. That's a fear. But also kind of, I've been out of school for 4 years, so kind of getting back into the mode of things, you know. But I feel like I'll take the necessary steps to, you know, be able to focus myself this summer.
I'm not too worried like Larry. If I were to say having a big fear would be going too heavily into debt, and also just being out of school, the way you approach it when you go back is like a business move. It's not just like back in school. So if I fail to really like capitalize on the network around me, on the clinics, or to build something entrepreneurial, and that's my biggest trade. I'm just going to get too caught up in the day-to-day, submit assignments, and not have like a hustle outside of that.
My concern is, I think probably something a lot of people maybe are concerned about is just how well I'll do. Because you're going into an environment where everyone is, you know, a big fish, where everyone has worked hard throughout undergrad. So I've always heard law school is kind of unpredictable in determining how well you've done or how well you will do. And for people who I've talked to who are already in law school, they tell me that even if you get a bad grade on an assignment or a grade that's not, you know, top 10% of the class, it doesn't mean you don't know what you're talking about. A lot of times it's about what specifically your professor wants you to say, not what you know. So that's something that I've had to kind of come to terms with. And, you know, even if I don't do as well as I want to, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm a bad student. You know?
I would say that actually kind of falls in line with some of my concerns as well. It's just knowing that you have the ability to do it, but when you're actually in the thick of it, it's you actually. I guess it's, so to speak, it's like Kobe in the fourth quarter. Honestly, that's the way I view it, because at that point it's kind of put up or shut up time, and you start to think about high school and undergrad and all the things that you've been through to get to law school, and then to get there and to fail. I don't even want to consider it, or I don't even think that it'll be acceptable. So I guess I would say my biggest fear in regards to law school is probably just failing at it, honestly.
Yeah, I think aside from like debt, like the financial issues, law school is very expensive. But the reason why I chose Georgetown is because it kind of eliminated a lot of my fears with, like, you know, kind of struggling in school. Like, I already know I'm probably going to have 3 tutors for any course that I want to have a tutor for. I'll have a tutor through the RISE program, I'll have a BOSA tutor, and then I'll have a Georgetown law tutor. So I have 3 avenues already to get tutors. So I feel like with that, I can bet on myself and feel like I'll, do well enough.
Well, myself, my biggest worry was the school life balance and juggling that in regards to every time I spoke to a law professor or any school I visited. It's like, all right, prepare for not having a life for 3 years, prepare to probably go out 3 to 5 times throughout your 1L, and pretty much be locked in 18 hours a day type of thing. So, I'm used to having to do that, and I've done that before with different things in life, but just having to adjust for that long, strenuous amount of time is something, just that adjustment and being able to handle that would probably be the first thing, because once you're kind of in the groove, I feel like you just get used to it and it's a norm, but just like that first initial shock is the main thing for me.
I'll just to respond to that. I've heard that that the whole thing about not having a life isn't necessarily true. And this is from somebody who's top of her class at her law school.
Right.
It's all about priorities and how you manage your time.
True.
And everybody always says treat it like a 9 to 5 job or 8 to 6, whatever. And plenty of people take time off on Sundays, Saturdays, whatever. Everyone I've talked to said you should have at least one day where you don't do, as much as another day, or maybe not do anything at all.
Okay, so follow-up questions based on some things y'all just said. So let's talk about debt. So were you guys like, oh, a school has to give me 50% scholarship, 75% scholarship? Like, how did you, decide like how much money you're really willing to spend to get this degree?
So my story with that was when I got accepted to GW last year. They gave me 50% scholarship money, and but being with the government shutdown last year, the government was supposed to be paying 50% of my for the rest of my tuition, and with the government shutdown, that went away, and so I had to defer my year, which ended up turning into me getting a ride there to GW. So it did play a big part for me.
It played a role for me too. When I got my acceptances, I was like, okay, yeah, the school is great, but it costs a lot of money. And part of me applying to all the schools I applied to like the whole T14 except for Chicago. So part of me applying to those was to be able to have negotiation, right? So, if you don't know, for law school, you get to negotiate you can email back and forth, negotiate your financial aid package. And I was able to get, get Georgetown to give me more than 50%. Whenever they kind of like started me off at about a third, right? I got them to be able to negotiate with me twice, and now I'm above 50%. So.
For me, I started had a fixed number. I didn't want to go into debt more than 100K, 150K if I got like an opportunity that I felt was worth it. And I was also hoping like for as close as free tuition as possible, so I could use some of my savings to do something like Matt's is gonna do, and like build a house, buy some land, build a house, stop paying rent, try to rather my money just going down the drain paying rent, try to like start investing and thinking differently. For
me, I am kind of debt averse, but not as much as other people. For a T14, I'm willing to go into debt more, and that's probably what's going to happen right now. But I know that the outcomes are generally better from those schools. I feel confident that with financial planning, I'll be able to get out of debt in a reasonable amount of time. For instance, Columbia. Oh, I haven't gotten an aid from them yet. So I'll say UVA gave me about a fourth of full tuition. Whereas school like USC and Notre Dame gave me about 3/4 full tuition. But when you also consider in the cost of living, debt from both USC and Notre Dame still would have put me above 100,000. So I was like, if I'm going to go into debt, I think I'll probably go into debt with this degree.
Yeah, like kind of looking at the median salaries to kind of help decide the like your debt to income ratio, what it's going to look like, and how fast you can pay that down. I think that's definitely key. Like that's why I applied to Howard. Like Howard to me is like a gym because their median salary is right up there with the T14, but it costs a whole lot less. So that was like my school that I was gonna go to if I didn't get exactly what I want. I'm not gonna say it was a safety school because I would love to go there, and that's why I applied.
Honestly, I was kind of like Cuba Gooden off Jerry Maguire. You got to show me the money when it comes to law school. Because I see no sense in me personally. I see no sense in going over 100 to 120K in debt for any school outside of the T14. That's just me personally speaking. And so I've always approached this law school search. I've always approached it with the mindset of I'm essentially viewing myself as a star player and I want a max contract. And the max contract is a full ride scholarship or pretty close to it. Because I'm not trying to spend 5, 6, 7 years after law school or trying to pay off debt. I would prefer to have that done in a 2 to 3 year time frame, just based on, I guess, my lifestyle that I already currently live and just, I guess, future income projections. So it was always more so like you got to show me the money if you really want me to attend your institution. That's just where I am on it.
I'll harp on what Jarvis just said. I kind of saw it as free agency myself. More importantly, how Larry earlier said, who we are as Black men. I just got off the phone with the Dean of Admissions last week, and I told him, I go into those reports, I do my homework, I'm very thorough. I'm like, you just admitted only 3 to 4 Black males in your last class. In the class before that, you have 12, but the one before that, you had 2. And I'm going down the list, and I use those power moves because at the end of the day, if diversity inclusion is so important to you, why are your numbers not reflecting that? And I got an email 2 days later, and they bumped my scholarship to the Dean Scholarship with 80%, and I didn't even have one before that conversation.
Nice.
So I didn't know what was going to come out of it. I didn't even request anything in conversation. Right. You got to know your worth at the end of the day. And my LSAT and GPA might not be as powerful or as strong or as high as someone else's. But at the end of the day, from the numbers, what the numbers are showing is you don't have anyone else like me off rip from my race and ethnicity, let alone my experience, my life experiences. So when we talk about those hard topics of LSAT and GPA, the soft in regards to my work experience, life experience, at the end of the day, these kids didn't go through what I went through when I was growing up and saw what I saw and how I can apply it in the legal field and be that vessel to make that change when I go into those communities and I'm in your clinic. So the effect I'm going to have in your clinic is not the same effect that Johnny and Deborah are going to have in your clinic. So at the end of the day, what do you want? And you're going to show me that through how much money you're going to give me. So that's how I approached it.
Love that. I would say as a Black man applying to law school, this is the time where you got to recognize the advantage of being the disadvantage. Like you have to recognize that advantage. Like I don't care what school you look at, whether it's a HBCU law school, whether it's a PWI, whether it's tier 2, tier 3, T14, it does not matter. When you look at the numbers and you look at the breakdown of the demographics and the gender at the same time, you're going to see probably about 70% Black women and 30% Black men. There are not that many of us, and that's if you're lucky. So they need us at their schools. They need us to add to that diversity to enrich the whole environment. They need us because they don't want to look like the law school that did not accept any Black guys. So ask for that money. Don't feel bad. Get the bag. Apply to the reach schools. Like do it. Like I'm telling you, it'll come out good for you. Next question.
I don't know if any of y'all are already in relationships, but how do y'all feel about like dating in law school?
So I'm in a relationship right now, and that's something that's come up, of course. I wouldn't say it influences my decision of where I'm going, but more so my plan afterwards. Once I'm settled in, for the most part in my final schools, I'm only going to be 2 to 4 hours away. So my girl right now is in a PhD program, and she needs her time anyway. So she wouldn't have that time. So like the 1L times up with like she's in her 3rd year. So at least unique to my situation, when I be graduating from law school, she'll be graduating with a PhD because she's halfway through her 6-year program. So for the most part, it's kind of like having that discipline where, all right, I'm focused, my partner's focused. I think that's how people should approach it when it comes to law school. If they're already in one, before I even thought I was going to be in a relationship, though, and I knew I was going to go to law school, I was like, oh, I'm definitely not going to be in a relationship so I can actually be focused. But since I am in one, I see how it's all about balance and discipline, how you approach it, where you can take out, someone mentioned earlier, like you have that day where you do less than other days. I feel like that could be a form of self-care where, okay, you still tend to your partner where you give them that 30-minute hour part of your schedule, and you give them that time, and then they know and they respect your space and they have boundaries because they know you're going through a trying time in law school. And then you have your breaks to see them, etc., where you do those things as a couple, whether you go on a trip on a winter break or summer before fall, etc. But it's all about that discipline and balance and knowing the end goal, and your partner knowing your end goal and what you're trying to accomplish and be great, and them being supportive on their end as well.
Yeah, after that, I don't think I need to say anything else.
Thanks.
I mean, I think it's all about just respecting each other's time. When you go into a rigorous program, whether it's a PhD program or law school, you know that it's going to require a lot of time. So knowing that going in, you can already kind of adjust your expectations of how much time you may spend with your partner. And I think just having that understanding, talking about it, whenever somebody may feel like they're not getting enough attention or whatever, talk about it, just having good communication.
I'm single going into law school, and I feel like I would be open to having a relationship, but I would kind of probably prefer for the person to be, busy with something as well, kind of like what Richard has going on. Simply because I would prefer to have somebody that's gonna take stress away from me, not add on stress. And if you're upset because I'm not busy, because I'm busy and I'm not free for you, then we can't do this, because at the end of the day, the end goal is what matters the most right now. Like a lot of the little things are gonna have to wait, and so yeah, I would like to be in a relationship because I feel like it would be probably less stressful than just going out in DC all the time. Like being able to just stay home and watch Netflix, in my free time, having a nice dinner or something. I like to eat. Like if you like have like a home cooked meal, there's nothing like it. Like I don't want to like be eating fast food for the next 3 years. My metabolism is slowing down. Like nah.
But no, for me, I'm single as well. And like Larry said, I'm not trying to go out to DC every weekend to turn up for real. I definitely am looking for a relationship. So I'll be open-minded to it, but it has to be, both have to be transparent. Transparency is everything, honestly. And like everybody keeps saying, the end goal, like what is my end goal? And that's graduating law school. And something that Larry touched on was, my partner, she would have to be busy as well. Because if you add stress on my plate, you gotta get out the front door. I ain't with that. But yeah, I'm open-minded to get into a relationship.
For me, I'm right now in a relationship, and I feel like I'm sort of like in the prime of my life, just going in terms of my physical age, and I feel like I'm at a stage where I'm like building my empire, and I want someone like building with me, and I sort of have that, and like you guys were mentioning, you sort of want your partner to be busy so that they wouldn't feel like neglected and have their own stuff going on and have their own mission. But I guess I don't want to get too one-sided. I'm the sort of person that when I get involved in something, like all my attention, all my mind goes towards it. So I'm glad I have like someone to sort of help balance me out, help me like realize there's life like outside of clinic, outside of law school and stuff like that.
Sometimes I wrestle between the whole wanting to build an empire, like with the woman, and then going, "Hey, baby, I got an empire. Like, why are you wasting time?" type of deal. So I wrestle between that. Sometimes I'm single right now. I guess I'm in a situation. I don't know, man. All I know is that I've always kind of viewed it as a because I amateur box as well. So it's like when you rolling with me, like I need you on your A game because I always ensure that I'm on my A game, and that comes with drive. That comes with spirituality, where you carry yourself as a woman. Just a lot of things, a lot of components that I look for in a woman. So, in regards to dating in law school, if a great woman comes along that is like so many other guys here reiterated, is just as busy as me, just as driven as me, then I have no problem or no issue kind of trying to build with that woman. But in the meantime, I do me, and the main focus is on my goals and building my empire. And if a queen happens to come along, that's great. Like, I'll be open and receptive to that, but I'm not really actively looking for it right now.
So are you guys interested in doing anything else, like besides just being a lawyer? Like I know you mentioned boxing.
This may be a bit unrealistic at this stage in my life, but semi-pro soccer player. My mom is Nigerian, and just growing up, I was just always about that soccer life. I tried to get like a soccer scholarship, didn't work out, wasn't as good as I thought it was. In addition to law, I mean, my goal long term is to be an entrepreneur, to help people turn their ideas into business and help people in minority groups tap into that concept of generational wealth. So I plan to just like have, after I finish doing big law, immediately after that, my goal is to just set up my own business. Anyone has an idea, I walk them through from business development, helping them refine their product, helping them protect their idea all the way through the full life cycle of their project, and then later on, ultimately, I plan to get into academia and sort of like have a sort of entrepreneurial feel to teaching. I think that is really important for that entrepreneurial mindset to be fostered inside a classroom from like a young age.
So when I was in South Africa, I told myself that one day I want to come back here and, do something positive. So I would like to go back there one day, maybe perhaps after a law career, and maybe establish something. It could be a school, it could be anything. But I would like to do something like that in the future. I definitely see a life after law. I don't want to be one of those attorneys who is 85 still, at their desk and they just croak out on the desk. I don't want to be that person. So I definitely want to have a life after law.
Well, kind of going off what Ibra said, I ran track in college. And so after I still wanted to compete in something, my hamstrings were kind of toasted. So I found CrossFit. And so maybe, getting better at CrossFit and being able to kind of compete more in CrossFit would be dope. Right now, I'm not as good as I used to be because of the Lsat and the application process. It took a lot of my time. But aside from that, I want to, obviously I want to have my own businesses as well. And kind of just like, the NBA players, NFL players say, I want to set my parents up. I want to do the same thing, but I want to set them up with a business that makes a lot of money, so they'd be like, self-sustainable and that so that they can, prosper the way that they deserve to for all the hard work that they've done, in their lifetimes. I was just given a different, set of cards because of them, So I want to kind of empower my family, but I think at the end of the day, I would kind of want to go, after making a lot of money, I want to go into like labor law or education law and policy, because there's so much that still needs to be, needs to be fixed. Like at the end of the day, if you look at public schools, yes, they go off equality, right? But if I'm in the inner city and you gave me $5,000 for a certain focus, and you gave, somebody in the affluent side of town that same $5,000, that $5,000 for them is going to do more than it is over here because we don't have a base up under that $5,000, And the same thing with like social workers inside the schools. If you give us the same number of social workers, my inner city school needs more. We have more people that probably need those services. But if we only have the same amount, then those social workers are going to be overworked at all times, and they're not going to be able to be as powerful for those students. So equality thing does not work, in my opinion. I'm more of an equity type of guy, but I could see myself working towards policy. Yeah.
Honestly, I would love to practice law and fight as a pro boxer as well. If I could do both simultaneously, which I'm crazy enough to think I actually can, then that's just the ultimate dream right there. Because like I said, I amateur box right now. I kind of started fighting when I was 16. I was just always interested in combat sports. But then once football didn't work out, I played D2 ball. Once that was just kind of taking more of a toll on me, more so mentally, boxing just kind of became a segue for me to just kind of remain physical and to kind of just, I guess, excel at something with my hands. I love being active. So if I could do both at the same time, if I could box professionally and practice the law, that'd be amazing. But I also don't want to be a lifetime attorney either. Like I don't want to be, like you said, at my desk at 80 years old, still trying to practice the law. It's just not a desire of mine. So eventually, I do want to roll into politics, and a big goal of mine was to be wealthy enough to, I guess, so to speak, not be bought in politics. Because I eventually want to become the mayor of my city. So that's what I want to do after my law career wraps up. I just want to roll right into politics and eventually become mayor.
I guess for me, I know that me and my line brothers, we spoke about it before, but now we are being actually proactive with it. But start a nonprofit organization for the youth, giving back to young graduates who are about to apply to medical school, law school, PhD programs, who don't really know like the sense of direction and where to go at, and to give scholarships out once we are set in our careers. So I think that's one of my biggest things, because I'm a giver at heart for real. So yeah.
For myself, I would say outside of, well, actually at first I didn't really want to practice the law. I wanted to use it as a platform in my political realm, because I've managed plenty of campaigns, and I've held a lot of senior staff roles in that, and then I was in the comms realm. But as I became a better writer and reader and going digesting information, I had that intersection of social justice, and that's why I wanted to practice in civil rights and criminal law. But I definitely don't want to do that for the rest of my life. Actually, not that long, to be honest. It's almost like a platform I want to use to start a nonprofit and a joint or kind of brother organization in regards to a political action committee or super political action committee, particularly to help people who feel like they don't have enough. I remember what it was like, especially young people of color, to be specific. I remember what it was like not to have enough money, or be told you're too young, or you don't have enough money, etc. Like Jarvis mentioned, not being bought out, and I know what that's like to be asked to be bought. So knowing that, just to give with no expectations in return is something I want to be able to do. And within the same nonprofit on the other realm, it was to help those young people know that they can run, but also at the same time doing a lot of philanthropy through that organization in regards to feeding the needy, feeding the hungry, because that's something I always did when I was an undergrad, just propping up a table in the corner and giving people food. But obviously within that organization on a higher scale, that'll actually long-term tangibly be able to end hunger in this country and help the less fortunate.
Okay, guys. So last question. What are you looking forward to the most on your law school journey?
I'm looking forward to just, meeting my peers, establishing that network, just really getting to know my professors. Obviously we all probably have a little bit of fear about 1L just because it's completely new. But I think in those situations where everybody is put into an environment where they don't know what it's going to be like, people definitely are more receptive to other people, open to their thoughts and ideas. So I think I can learn a lot from my classmates, and I just hope to grow in more ways than just academics, but also as a person.
I'm looking forward to three things. The first being the knowledge I'm going to get. I'm the kind of person that I learn something and I like learn how to activate it and I use the power of it. So like when I learn like stuff as serious as like legal statutes and different codes, the next thing I'm looking forward to like new challenges from being in new environments, from different business competitions, potentially move court. And the third thing is just being in a new environment, a new city, new scenery, new people, different vibe. I'm from the Caribbean. We have like carnival like every year. I heard there's like a carnival out there in LA. So looking forward to being close to that and just taking in a whole new cultural experience.
My answer is kind of similar to Ibra's. It's just about opening so to speak, to be cliche. It's about opening a chapter in the book, a new chapter in the book, essentially. Just a new environment, new peers, so to speak, and just kind of just inching closer to, I guess, my personal goals. And I'm just looking forward to the newness of it all, because again, it's something we've never experienced before, and I tend to get bored if I'm not challenged enough, and so I think that 1L would definitely be very challenging, but in a way it will be also rewarding because, like I said, I'll be in a new environment. It'd be a new chapter in the book, and I'll just be closer to where I need to be.
Yeah, it's like Jarvis said, just a new chapter, new beginning. Cause it's like all of us will be in our first year of law school, and it'll be some fear, it'll be some excitement. But yeah, just get into our personal goals. I guess personal goals and the end goal. Just knowing that we want to finish off strong and get into our careers. So yeah.
I'm big on like process and journey, like, taking the steps to get there. It's like almost more satisfying than the accomplishment sometimes. So I'm just looking forward to like kind of immersing myself in that. Just like the rest of the guys kind of echo, I like a challenge. Like I love a challenge. So this is also gonna be my first time since kindergarten, like not being an athlete while I'm in school. And so I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to see what I can really do with like my whole entire day focused on nothing but being the best academic that I can be. And I'm also looking forward to networking in DC and meeting other people that work in the fields that I want to go into. So.
Yeah, I could echo off of that point. This is the first time I'll be in school where I wasn't an athlete. So it's always interesting to it's going to be interesting to wake up and have to go to weights, watch film, anything like that, and just really go class, study, homework, do whatever I got to do, sleep, and do it again. But in regards to 1L, in regards to law school, I'm looking forward to I'm a competitive person, so being able to compete, but also in a healthy environment. I'm looking forward to applying what I'm learning, how Ibra said, and applying what I'm learning and activating it potentially in like clinics, helping and seeing. I like seeing myself doing what I'm grinding for every single day. So seeing that come to fruition is what it means. Like that means the world to me. And it's almost like the beauty and the struggle. So that grind through those 3 years is almost more worth it than actually seeing myself cross that stage. So being able to be in that and push myself through it every day is what I'm looking forward to, and be able to say, okay, I did that because I'm not supposed to be here, and none of us statistically are supposed to be here, but we're doing it anyway. And being able to say I did that right there, at least to myself, not even to prove anyone else wrong, but proving myself right as a man, that means more than anything.
Well, thank you all. Thank you very much. If y'all want to say bye to everybody.
It's been real. Hopefully we said some stuff that really echoes with y'all. Good luck.
Okay, guys, so that's the end of the video. Like I said, a lot of good takeaways. My next videos will, of course, be the scholarship negotiation video that I mentioned that I was going to post. Also have some videos coming up on just like a general Q&A on some more like law school application related things to kind of wrap up my entire like law school and Lsat series that I was doing. So yeah, if you're interested, don't forget to click the bell and like, comment, subscribe, all of that. And I will see y'all in my next video. Bye, y'all.